there's very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
On an escalator.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back, everyone. We're glad you're joining us tonight from the shadow of the great Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. It's Sunday, December 14th, 2025. The time of this broadcast, and tonight's conversation may be one of the most important and also one of the most uncomfortable discussions we've had in quite some time. Over the past few weeks, the word disclosure has been everywhere. In documentaries, headlines, and congressional hearings, and even woven into Hollywood marketing. We're being told that something is here, that we're not alone, that the truth has been hidden from us for decades, and that the moment to know it is imminent. Dun, dun, dun. The title of somebody's book. But tonight, we're going to slow this conversation down. Michelle?
So yesterday, we had the chance to sit down and watch The Age of Disclosure together. Even drug one of the cats into it. A powerful, well-produced documentary that leans heavily on authority, urgency, and emotion. And to be clear, this is not a dismissal of the subject itself. The film raises important questions, highlights real stigma, and features people with impressive credentials. But belief is not the same thing as evidence. And compelling storytelling is not the same thing as transparency. So tonight we're stepping back, not to attack what's being said, but to examine how it's being said, who is saying it, and what the audience is being asked to accept without being shown.
That's right. We'll talk about what the film gets right, where claims feel overstated or unsupported, and why urgency and fear of regret can be powerful, persuasive tools, especially when evidence remains just out of reach. It's like Lucy with the football trying to get Charlie Brown to kick that football.
Kick the ball.
We'll also explore why certain voices are amplified, why others are absent, and why some questions are framed in ways that make skepticism feel almost inappropriate. This isn't a hit piece, and it isn't blind belief either. It's an honest, skeptical conversation about disclosure or deception.
We invite you to join us in the live chat tonight. Share your thoughts, ask questions, challenge us respectfully, please. And let's have the kind of conversation this topic deserves. Because if disclosure really is coming, we should be able to examine it clearly. And if it isn't, we should be willing to say that too.
That's right. And then sometimes the most dangerous stories aren't the ones that are hidden. They're the ones we're told just enough to believe. So with all that being said, before we jump into this, I put a poll up on the YouTube chat asking people, do people need disclosure from the governments of the world to be legit? So there's arguments pro and con for that. So take a minute and go ahead and answer that for us, and we'll visit that back at the end of the show. So one of the things that I talked to Michelle about, and this is a bit odd to put in at the show right here when we're talking about disclosure, but you've heard me say it, you've heard other podcasters and live streamers say it, and it's the whole thing about shadow banning and how certain topics are shadow banned and things like that. And I'm guilty of that as well. However, I've done some digging and I've watched some other people and their understanding of the algorithm and everything else. And we found out it's not necessarily YouTube's fault. It's all of you watching us right now's fault. And don't take that the wrong way. Here's why. Now, the algorithm is very weird. So I just want to run through this so you guys understand why some of your favorite channels maybe were one of your favorite channels, but you don't see the growth happening. And we don't see the growth happening. And we kind of get it now, what's going on. So YouTube, first of all, YouTube does not send all of our videos to all of our subscribers. It sends our latest video to a small sliver of our subscribers. If the people that got the notification, because I've gotten tons of comments sent to me by people that watch the show and go, I haven't seen a notification from your show in months. Glad I found you again. 100% legit. I think it was in last week's comments or maybe the week before the show. Somebody went on there and said that. So here's the deal. If the little sliver that it sends out watches and likes it, the algorithm will then send it to a larger sliver of subscribers. So only a small number of you that are subscribed get the notifications. And if they like and watch, then it gets recommended to people or non-subscribers who show interest in whatever topic or the video or live stream is. So then it gets recommended out, right? To everybody. So one of the people that I was following who was talking about this and what was happening to their channel, as it seemed like they were dying off, like the videos were getting no views, he said you could basically replace the word algorithm with audience. So if a small sliver of you get this, you've got to like it pretty much immediately, recommend us out. That's why we always say that. But it's legit as to, it's not an evil plot. Sorry, YouTube, I accused you of that. But your algorithm is messed up if that's how it's really starting to work. So what happens is the algorithm recommends videos based on interest signals. It looks at your watch history, what you're engaging with, like where you're leaving comments and stuff, and the topical relevance, not what people are subscribed to. That's why you're starting to see people talk about, well, subscriber numbers don't matter. That's why Richie over at GoofOn was saying how many subscribers he has, but his video counts are down. That's why. So what you click on is what YouTube will show you next. I mean, that's basically, you guys all know it. That it's how it works with live streams and stuff too. So if UFO and paranormal channels are not, they're not just competing with each other, right? They're competing with every other interest, topic, and hobby of the viewer. So that's how it registers and calculates what your interest is. So, and YouTube does not recommend or play legacy content. It will not say there's old videos for you to check out. You have to seek them out. If viewers don't click on the video right away, then YouTube buries it. So our feed gets buried. And that's why you'll see, you know, a lot of these thumbnails that are clickbait, and people get all pissed off because it's like, oh, the sky is burning. It's just clickbait. Well, that's the stuff you're clicking on. So YouTube is sending that to you. So the fancy thumbnails, the crazy, insane sense of urgency titles. That's why you're seeing an increase in that, because that's how the algorithm is now working. All right. So I was thinking about this. It's like, are UFO and paranormal channels dying off? I don't think so, but there are probably a lot of factors that are adding to the decline. A lack of viewers, especially of older content, or people lose interest if there isn't something in the mainstream narrative like the age of disclosure, right, that makes people go and look for things online, especially YouTube. Okay. So, could this be some kind of a weird conspiracy between YouTube and, I don't know, mainstream TV and cable TV and stuff like that? It's possible. It could be a way that they're trying to stay relevant. They get more and more shunned by normal people. That's the mainstream. Because, well, as we're starting to find out, normal people are proving they are just as good as any movie star out there and talented when it comes to create content creation as well, if not better than the clowns in Hollywood. Possibly now that YouTube has pulled in over $50 billion in 2024 in both ad revenue and premium memberships. Like YouTube Premium, they've made almost 13 billion, not million, billion dollars. So we're seeing that, right? And now they're going to be pushing AI creation for what they call for people without the tools or skills to make videos. And that's according to the CEO of YouTube. So all of these channels you guys have seen with the really trashy scripts and the fake videos, and you're wondering, is that really AI? Is this real? You know, and it's got millions of views and stuff. That's due to YouTube. They think that's the way this should go. And that's kind of scary. So I wanted to put that out there for you. Anybody, any other streamer or whatever that might be having issues or seeing things or feeling like you're shadow banned, take a listen to this again and you'll see what's going on. And I'm trying to help some people out with the research and things like that. So
yeah, there is a huge push for the AI usage.
Yep.
With the YouTube influencers nowadays.
Well,
so
I honestly think that Hollywood is pissed off that normal people can make content, right? They don't need Hollywood. Anybody can be a star, quote unquote. The YouTube awards and streamer awards are bigger than the Grammys.
You are seeing more YouTube awards and the influencers walking the red carpet more so than what it was like, 15, 20 years ago. Absolutely. When it was all about watching the Oscars and, the Grammys and such.
Yep.
So much has led to the way of technology. They're kind of, shooting themselves in the foot with everything that they create.
That's right. Okay. So that's my spiel. I wanted to get it out there. Now we're going to get into some...
Oh, he's been chewing on this one for a few days, guys.
We're going to get into some down and dirty, nasty things. And I mean that in a PG way.
Hold on. Let me stare into the camera and not blink for long periods of time. God. Like I've been trained.
Dude, Jay Stratton, if you ever happen to watch this, bro, when you're on camera, please blink, dude. The guy would not blink
time the whole documentary.
He's talking and he doesn't blink. His eyes are like...
I was like,
I've seen alien bodies and UFOs, and I can't even do it. I don't know what's going on there.
And of course, I noticed the little things. I'm like, look at Rubio. He's like trying to recall answers. He keeps looking to the left and to the right, looking down. At least he wasn't looking up, because then he's just grasping for straws.
I don't know. Okay, so let's we've got this organized as we're going to go through some things. So let's go through it, and then I'm going to have a kind of a big reveal toward the end here about this film and the people in it. So let's talk about the opening. The opening starts with the UFO hearings that had Graves and Fravor, and they're trying to immediately establish credibility by showing these clips. It's almost formulaic how this documentary plays out. And I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It is a typical documentary kind of layout, the same kind of shots, you know, hey, you guys go stand over there and look like you're talking while we get some B-roll and throw it, you know. So the opening premise is the 4 following things. We're not the only intelligence in the universe. Well,
something is here.
Yep. What else?
NHI is interacting with humans.
And by the way, NHI is non-human intelligence.
And that they've always been here.
So immediately they do the strong emotional and authoritative opening, but claims precede evidence. And that's where things start to immediately spin. All right. So that was kind of the first thing. The opening is, let's show the hearings, all that good stuff. We are not alone. And they go through about 20 people. We are not alone. We're not the only intelligence beings in the universe. We're not
a lot of clips that we've either already have seen or very similar to things that we have seen.
Absolutely. And by the way, guys, if you want to help out the show, I know you see the banner running across the bottom about super chats being open. Please feel free if you want to. You don't have to, but there's PayPal, there's links, there's all that stuff. Any little bit helps us out because, you know, YouTube will not issue us our money until we hit a threshold of $100. So we hope to make that $100 mark in a month. That's our goal. All right. So just that being said, now what about these authority figures? And we just mentioned one of them that they bring in, and one of them is Jay Stratton. So he was in the Army. He talks about being in the in Afghanistan and Iraqi war theaters, and then he goes to where? Naval intelligence. Later, he becomes the first head of the UAP task force. Now, who was this task force set up by? The task force, according to them in the movie or documentary, started under the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. Okay, so the UAP task force was after the whole ATIP debacle and all that. So again, we see the film starts leaning heavily on the credentialed insiders that anchor the belief early. Oh, thank you very much, Dorothy, for the super chat. We love you. Happy holidays, kids, she says. Thank you very much, Dorothy. We appreciate that. And no, we're not begging for money. It's okay. We're grifters now, Michelle.
No.
Oh, no. I don't know, Michelle, what? I know you're over there talking with chat right now, but on the whole thing with the authority figures and them trying to establish credibility, what are your thoughts on that and the credentialed insiders?
Is this my knock-knock joke?
Well, it's the Jay Stratton thing.
Well, I said, he was like,
it's time for your knock-knock joke.
Trained in interrogation, because that man, seriously, it was like dead on staring at the camera like, you will believe me. You will believe me. Hold on, I got to blink once.
Right. He blinked one time in the whole documentary. His eyes were like.
So I thought it was funny in chat. It came up from Stargazer about the 5 observables. I forgot about Lou's checklist.
Well, there was a new 6th observable now. Biologics. Hey, look at this. Hold on a minute. So Brian with the super chat. Love these 2 wonderful educators. 2 of my favorite people in this crazy universe.
It's not kidding. Crazy universe. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mama
very
Dorothy.
Much. And we will be on Brian's show coming up this Wednesday. Is it this Wednesday or next
Wednesday? I told you I'm going to be racing home from my union meeting so we can get on.
Oh, yeah. So thank you, Brian, for that. And then T-Bone shows up. Look at that. With some Canadian dollars. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. We're not asking for money. We're just saying it's available.
And look at that. Diane, look at you peeking in there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diane.
And by the way, T-Bone said for the cause, and Diane says, love you guys. Learn a lot. Thank you,
cause.
Diane. for the cause. Yes.
All right. So my knock knock joke.
Yes.
I had to pause probably about, I would say 25 minutes into the documentary. And I looked at Wayne and I said, did, what is it? Is it
Dan Farah.
Farah?
Yeah.
I said, did I? Oh, I almost came up with a whole different last name. I'm like, did he seriously just walk around the Pentagon and knock on everyone's door going, would you like to be in a documentary? Oh, no, talk to you later. Good. Go to the next door. Knock, knock. Would you like to be in a documentary?
It really seemed that way.
Because, you know, here's the thing with disclosure for me. That's fine. You can go around Congress. You can go around all the politicians. You can gather them up. You can talk about their beliefs, you know, talk about what they've seen, what they know, you know, all the way back to the days of what, Eisenhower?
Yeah.
I said,
if not before.
If not before. But it's like, I think that we have been conditioned for so long that it's just show us already.
Right.
Don't keep hopping into the paper bag talking about the same stuff that you've been talking about now since what, the first congressional hearing.
Let's save that part for last. But the fact you had me laughing when you were like, was Dan Farah running around Capitol Hill and the Pentagon knocking on doors trying to get people to be in the video?
I mean, besides, you know, a couple new faces.
Yeah.
So like what was it? The biophysicist or the astrophysicist.
Yeah.
So, you know, a couple of the scientists. Okay. It's
was
like
Tim Taylor from Skinwalker Ranch.
No, because we've heard him talk before too, but he was on there. I was surprised to see Terry Lovelace on there. So again, it was just going around, you know, talking to, well, Terry's not, well, he's former military. So
yeah. Thank you again, Brian. Jeez, dude, it's your daughter's birthday. Go hang out with her.
Go have a piece of cake for me.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, you know, they're trying to establish this whole credential. But
it's all lifelong politicians that are their credentials.
Well, it's intelligence people too.
Okay.
It is the intelligence people. Clapper, all of these guys, man. Brennan. It was Brennan, John Brennan, head of the CIA. I mean, these are all the people that are coming forward and risking their, you know, their credentials and their backgrounds. And they were so scared of the stigma before. Now all of a sudden it's okay. And that throws up red flags for me. There's something not right there. But let's continue. So that's where we get Jay Stratton and what he did. Of course, he didn't stay there. And then, of course, the UAP task force eventually evolved into its modern day thing of AARO, AARO. So there's that. Then all of a sudden we get into this threat narrative. So ATIP was the advanced, oh my God, I can't remember, something program. I can't even remember it all.
Are you talking
anymore.
about ATIP?
Yes. Yeah, look it up. So what they claim is that UAP and HI are a threat. Okay.
Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Thank you. So this is where Arrow eventually, you know, when you go back far enough, this is where it comes from. It's got a threat narrative. It's sponsored by Harry Reid. And then it has these claims. Michelle, you want to hit up those claims? Tell people what those claims are.
Okay. So the UAP NHI are a threat.
Yep.
That transmedium capabilities.
Yep.
Seen evidence. 80 years of data. Yep. And NHI craft described as being stratified.
Yes. Thanks, Brian, once again.
So, but here's the thing, like, you know, during the documentary too, is that, you know, they mention Right Pat and they mention these different, you know, places where, and I seriously think that at this point in my life, I'm ready for them to just, you
Yep.
know, show us.
Right.
Show us the pieces of craft. Show us the craft. Show us the bodies.
Yep. You are
I mean,
at my
hell, they put everything else on the screen. They show everything else.
Well, yes and no. And that's where my little notes on the skeptical checkpoint comes in.
Oh no, is it going to be
'Cause
one of those on the
seen-
observable
no,
checklist? Okay.
Well, no. Seen evidence, quote unquote, is asserted during this section over and over. I mean, it's repeated over and over. Seen the evidence, heard the evidence. So and so told me, so and so told him that told me, da 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 da. But here's the thing, say whatever you want, guys. Okay. Yep. Maybe you're true believers and this happened to you, whatever. There's no primary document shown at all. Viewers, so all of you watching it, and I think everybody should watch it. I'm going to tell you right now, if you can watch it for free or rent it for like $2 or something, do so and watch it.
Just don't buy it like we did.
Well, we had some free credits, so stop. It's all right. Yeah, whatever. Crunch up your nose at me. But viewers are asked to trust authority, not data. And why not data? Because they don't show us any. And there's a reason why they're going to tell you at the end of this documentary, almost 2 hours long, why they're not going to show you the primary documents or the data. But just trust me. Trust me, bro. That's kind of hard, guys. That's a hard one. All right. So I want to jump in and talk about what's not mentioned in this film. The one big thing that stood out to me, and you guys know we've had on a guest here about 3 times talking about material sciences. And we're about to talk to one of the guys that's actually doing the science and testing over at the University of Michigan. So we'll have more information on that and see what comes up out of it. All right. So just stick with us here. The first thing I noticed after I watched the thing the first time, the documentary the first time, was that it was very odd that To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge was nowhere to be found in this.
None. Not even a mention.
Not even a hint. And Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon were up there on stage and they were all gung-ho with To the Stars Academy. It is very odd that To the Stars Academy role is not anywhere in the disclosure. There's no role in earlier disclosure momentum at all. And I just, that jumped out at me. The other thing, and I talked about this with Bassett, and I might have even brought it up with our previous guest, Selig. There is nothing. I think one person from the Air Force in the documentary that talks for about 30 seconds, and it looks like he's giving some kind of a, what do I want to say? Like some kind of testimony about anomalous objects in the air. Okay. So the notes I had written down was that the U.S. Air Force was only briefly mentioned by Christopher Mellon. And remember, Christopher Mellon was the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for intelligence. Again, an intelligence guy. Like him. Okay. Could be a good dude. But again, we got to think about, I don't want to give it away yet, but we'll get there.
And the Air Force is part of Legacy, correct?
That's a good question. No, it is not.
It was something with the Air Force. It was Department of Energy.
Well, we're going to get there. It's in the notes.
Okay.
We're going to get there. Hold on. So, but he is the one who explicitly makes the argument, and he I'm paraphrasing it. It says that the Air Force has been conspicuously silent on UAPs. The Air Force, more than any other branch, controls U.S. airspace. Therefore, the Air Force should be bringing data, evidence, and testimony to the table, and their evidence itself is suspicious or at least concerning. Now, why are they omitting TTSA entirely from this documentary? You would think Tom DeLonge would have popped in somewhere, right? So what's going on there? Because we know, Michelle and I know, and all of you know, if you look at their website, that they're involved in material science projects with the U.S. Army. It says right on their website, that's what they're doing. They're going around and taking UFO materials from people, from civilians, and backward engineering them. As Michelle was saying, the legacy program, and we're going to get into that in just a couple minutes. And so why is the U.S. Air Force so silent? And my thoughts on this, and Michelle, if you think something different, let me know. I think the U.S. Air Force is still highly involved, but they are saying nothing about anything. And the reason for that is because they got burned during Project Blue Book, the most recent UFO investigative group out of the government, J. Allen Hynek and all those guys. They got so burned with their really just crappy explanations and trying to explain away all of these UFO sightings, especially here in Dexter, Ann Arbor area in Michigan, that they're just acting like we don't know nothing. Now, these are guys flying highly advanced F-35s, the new F-47, drones everywhere, satellite, Space Force, and you mean to tell me it's the Navy coming up with things? Holy crap.
No,
that sucks.
The aircraft carriers that seem to be the...
Yeah. Well, they're nuclear powered.
Yeah.
But still, why are these things operating in their training areas? It's really, really bizarre. So I'm on the fence with what's going on there. I think really the Air Force just decided we don't want any spotlight on us at all. We just act like we don't exist. All right. So I don't know, Michelle, what did you think on that part with the TTSA and Air Force? Did you want to add anything?
No, I had wondered why they were doing such a strong focus on Navy, and Air Force was just kind of poo-pooed.
I think the reason that they are focusing on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to see what you think. It's because the Navy released those videos, or those videos that were leaked about the UFOs came from the Navy.
Well, and if you think about it this way, the same footage that we saw from the Navy, how long has it been since they first came out? A couple years now?
What? The videos?
Yeah.
The Tic Tac and all that? That was 2017 when they released, when it got leaked
really
out.
That long ago?
Yes, it was.
Holy
and
crap.
The incident happened in 2007.
So when those videos got leaked, those are the same videos that we saw before, though. So that's probably why they wanted to center around the Navy. I mean, heaven forbid that they have to go, looking for new blood that may testify or may not. So,
yep. All right, let's get into one of our favorite guests to have on, Nathaniel Gillis. We're going to dip in a little bit to the stigma and cultural pushback that is argued in a major portion of the documentary. So apparently, and I think we can call these people the Collins elite, there's a bunch of fundamentalists running around in our government. Maybe, I don't know. But there's a professional stigma, and these guys were talking constantly about, they would go somewhere, ask somebody to talk or whatever, and they would say no, because we don't want to be known as the UFO guy. I think even Lou Elizondo says that at points as well. Like, there's this huge stigma, and that's true. I can see that as a cultural issue, that there's this stigma and you're going to ruin your reputation. And possibly, you talk about being involved in a UFO abduction or something like that, talking with aliens or seeing something.
Well, guess what?
You're going to lose your job.
or you're not going to get voted back in by your constituents.
Well, there's that too. Who's going to vote for that guy? Do you know what kind of ammunition that gives your political opponent? He's a nut job. Why
especially
would you
for lifelong politicians?
Yes. Yep. Those are people, you know how they say those who can't teach, you hear that little smart ass remark from people when they want to put teachers down.
Where are you going with this, Wayne?
Well, those that can't do anything become politicians and become professional parasites.
Oh.
So how about that? Because there won't be one politician that would spend a day in a classroom. But anyways, so then there's this religious backlash, like I was talking about with the fundamentalist. They were saying that they were being told that they're doing the devil's work. Stratton was talking about this, that they're doing the devil's work just by asking questions. UFOs are demons. This is demonology, all of this stuff. Now, could there be some kind of crazy occult stuff going on in the government? Of course. If you looked at the whole masonry setup of Washington, D.C., it's pretty apparent that there is all kinds of, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. Who's the goddess Columbia? Does anybody know? Does anybody even realize it? Do your research. But here's what I'm going to say. I said, for the most part, this section is like fair. It's historically accurate. And the stigma is real. Okay. Fair enough. All right. But I also think that they're trying to create more boogeymen in the documentary. Right. I find it hard to believe that they would be stopped or slowed down by people in the government. But this is just me. I don't work there. I don't want to work there. I don't ever want to work there ever and deal with those people. However, could they be wielding enough power and then using, we're supposed to be more secular in our rulings and stuff, but who's to say? I don't know. Michelle, what do you got on this?
What, far as
the stigma and the cultural pushback from people in Congress against these guys in ATIP and stuff?
Well, I'm telling you that the reason that more of them don't speak up, it's because they're afraid that they will not be elected back in. Fact. Because the stigma has always been there. It's been in film, and I mean, in what do people watch the most? Film.
Well, I don't know if that's true anymore.
Well, true. But I mean, the first time that I ever watched Independence Day, one of my favorite sci-fi movies. I remember watching it, and of course, when they start doing the interviews, where's Randy Quaid? He's in a trailer park wearing a wife beater with a beard, a beer, and
listening to some kooky
podcast. That's been the stigma. Go get the tinfoil hat. Make sure that they don't fry your brain when the radiation starts coming down. I would hope that we're past that. So, but when you've got the fundamentalists that are, worried about the stigma and the connection of, UFOs being devil's work or demons, people are naturally afraid of what they don't know.
Yeah.
So, and when you are faced with something that we have here on Earth, we've got, samplings of the craft and the bodies here within the U.S. It's natural to be afraid of what you don't know or what you were not raised around.
Yep.
So,
and to apply your worldview or your religious views to whatever that is, your brain needs to find some way to explain this stuff. And by the way, we're not saying that the special access programs and the like UFOs and aliens or whatever those creatures are not real. We're talking about how it is portrayed in this age of disclosure. So don't get messed up about what we're really trying to talk about here. We're talking about the film. We personally know that these craft are real. So, and let's just continue. Michelle, it's your favorite area, the legacy program claim. Okay,
Oh, the one with the
this is the boogeyman.
The CIA being the big daddy of it all, kind of
Yeah.
like the umbrella over the U.S. Space Force,
Yep.
the contractors, and the Department of Energy.
Yep. Well, you missed one.
Which one?
The Air Force.
Oh, I thought you said Air Force.
No, you said Space Force, but that's okay.
Hey, it's me in the same one.
Same difference.
Oopsie.
So here are the notes on this legacy program. So I asked, oh my God, Stephen Bassett about this 2 weeks ago about what is this legacy program? And I don't know if I got a really good answer about it, but in the documentary, they give us a good answer about what this legacy program is. So it is the alleged hidden UFO program. So this is the program that has been running since 1947, at least. Okay. It is just called the legacy program. So what does it include? It includes crash, retrieval of non-human craft, and also bodies of these creatures or non-human biologics, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so Mellon claims that the Department of Defense equals the legacy program. All right, so this legacy program is the one that was refusing to give info on the UAPs. So people investigating, Lou Elizondo and all those guys were going and investigating with the UAP task force, and before with ATIP, going around asking questions, and they kept on getting the doors slammed in their face. So when they talk about this resistance of this legacy program, that's really what they're diving into. It's like they kept on running into these people that said you weren't read in, you didn't have the classification, and we're not going to talk to you about it. They loop them or gather them under that umbrella, like Michelle was saying, of the legacy program. Now, according to Lou, and I believe Stratton and everybody in the documentary, here is the legacy program, and it's basically its org chart. It goes like this. At the very top, you have number one bad guys, the CIA. Now, the CIA is completely controlled by the president. So, but the presidents are never read in on any of these things. So go figure. Maybe Eisenhower was. But anyway, so at the very top, you have the CIA. And then you have three equal like groups underneath the CIA. You have the U.S. Air Force, who is quiet now, right? You have defense contractors, which are immune to FOIA requests. And then you have the Department of Energy, which everybody knows they're a little shady. They're the ones dealing with nuclear power and nuclear weapons and all that good stuff. Okay. So those are the legacy. That's the legacy program. And apparently all controlled and masterminded by the CIA. Now, I'm going to say this, and Michelle, you want to throw in your 2 cents. My thoughts on this is that, to me, this is one of the most extraordinary claims in the film. I'm not discounting it. And it's the one, though, that has the least direct evidence presented. There is no there, right? They're not showing us anything about this legacy program actually even existing. This is kind of what they put together. So, to be fair,
you just pulled science terms because extraordinary claims require
extraordinary evidence. No, it doesn't. It just needs evidence. It doesn't need to be extraordinary. We just need evidence. I want to see evidence. I want these things that are crashing and whatever. I want them put out on the table, and I want to see them, and I want to know what you guys are doing with them. I'm just saying.
That's all I was saying earlier.
Exactly. You're exactly right. All right, what about Elizondo and Stratton versus the system? So this was the big emotional appeal, right? Lou and Stratton, they fought against, the top level programs, the CIA and all that stuff. Lou, now tugging at your heartstrings, he never was a UFO guy, right? You guys have all heard those claims. Well, he's talking about being isolated, unsupported, and nobody knows what's going on. He's out in the world and he's standing with all these people walking around him and stuff, and he's got all this information, and just nobody knows. Just, I am the one with all the secrets. I've seen the craft. Well, that's Stratton. I don't know if Lou will talk about videos and pictures. And what ruins it, oh my God, is when he pulled out the huge flying saucer picture and it was an irrigation field. It was so bad, dude. So bad. So they're trying to establish credibility, but yet again, they keep on rolling out evidence that a 12-year-old on Google Earth or Google Maps could figure out what it was. It was a circular irrigation field, and they said it was a giant flying saucer. That was the shadow of it. Anyways, so if I was to give a balanced take on it, I would say this could indicate resistance, right? This could, with how Lou was feeling threatened and stuff. And, Rubio and Warren, when they got together, they're the ones that went to the media and started to put the light on this as well, right? From a senator's standpoint, back when Rubio was a senator. But it could be that the quote unquote system is just the internal bureaucracy of the government, a big, fat, bloated, smelly, flopping around, Job of the Hut looking bureaucracy of the U.S. government. Or it could be both. There could be resistance and a huge, bloated, fat Job of the Hut government that is dipping its hands into everything.
Oh no, you're not going to do the voice, are you?
Moody booty. What voice? Chewbacca. Anyways, Michelle, what's your takes on this with Stratton and Elizondo fighting the man? When they talked about that, what is your take? Elizondo and Stratton versus the system.
You got to have somebody out there that's going to look like the combatant.
Yeah, well, your op, right? Your opposition. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Well, here's the thing. It's, like any credible, and when I'm thinking of like when my students do an argumentative writing piece. Yeah, you always have to have somebody with a counter argument.
Yep. Plain evidence reasoning, baby.
Yep.
Plain evidence reasoning. You got to have that evidence.
Yeah. Not a whole lot I want to say about that.
Okay.
About the two of them. Just that you always have to have a counter argument.
And again, people see this, but I don't really think you're going to pick up on anything new. Maybe a couple things, but not really. And again, we're getting to the end here and we'll find out why. So, disinformation claim. Yes, alleged disinfo campaign against Lou. And not only that, later it was David Grush, right? He's a drunk and he beats his wife, yada, yada, all BS, right? And, attacks his credibility, and it's pushed back from within the government. And it does seem like that there was somebody gunning for one, if not both of them. Again, disinformation becomes unfalsifiable if all criticism is framed as an op. Where is the evidence? Yet again, Lou talks about getting a call from a staffer saying, I was in with a very high ranking person in a big meeting and they're talking about getting rid of you and Grush. And, God forbid, right? I mean, that's horrible. Is it possible? And he goes on to talk about how, the American government has, deleted people without any kind of a trial or anything like that. And those were Americans too. So I kind of feel like if he was getting these calls, were they even real? Or was this a setup to try to push him out? Would they really do it? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. So unless Lou can produce some kind of a letter or some kind of a recording from a meeting or something, all of these things just man, I don't know. He needs evidence to this claim, and he doesn't mention anybody's name, so they can't come after him for that. But
well, the same thing with the phone call that he
yeah
had received too. That what was it? Something about 27 people
in that meeting. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, with a high-ranking government official or senator or
so
something.
and somebody had called him on the phone, pretty much put him on
Mm-hmm.
put him on notice that his life was on the line. And
yeah, I mean, not cool. Whether it was just to scare him off the track or if they were being serious, either way. So I know Lou had all kinds of people coming after him. But again, you have to be in like the Twitter space and all that stuff and watch the little kids with their, binkies and their toys fighting, right?
Here's the question. Did he put himself in the limelight with all of this with UFOs, or did someone plant him there and make him the patsy?
We don't know that much about it, right?
So because it's one of the two.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's move on so we can be done here tonight.
We don't want
again,
to talk
I'm
about
still
the
on the
for
fence.
2 hours. It wasn't even 2 hours long.
I know. I'm still on the fence about Lou. If he felt threatened and stuff and he did receive that information, that's not cool. And, but then again, I got to ask why? Why are you guys and all these high ranking members, especially in the intelligence field, coming out now and pushing this now? It just doesn't make any sense that it had to be this group of people that are breaking all this information. But anyways, there was speak of the 4 hypothesis. What one of the guys, I think he was a representative, talked about what the 4 things that this stuff could be, UAPs and UFOs and all that. Could be some kind of foreign adversary, of course. There really could be NHIs, non-human intelligences. Yeah. U.S. intelligence cover-up for programs of, secret aircraft and stuff and technology that we have that we don't want anybody to know about. That's really could be true, or a cover-up as in covering up the backwards engineering. Or it could be a combination of all 3 of those. It could be all 3 of those working at the same time, which then you just have a huge mess. But the film, and it's brilliant how it does this, it subtly nudges whoever's watching it away from number 1, that it's a foreign adversary, and really toward, right, NHI and a U.S. cover-up. U.S. intelligence cover-up, considering all these intelligence people are there. And by the way, Eric Davis is just a weird dude. He was in that, and he just gave me vibes, man. Like, he was kind of strange. But anyways, they push you toward number 2, number 3. So NHI, U.S. intelligence cover-up, or a combination of all 3, but without proving the transitions. So there's nothing there, and everybody's heard this stuff before. Nothing new there, Michelle. Anything you want to throw in there?
No.
All right.
No.
Now, it's starting to get into our closing here. Lou Elizondo's closing statement, and it was the key moment at the end of the documentary. And I'm going to read it. I got it quoted right here, the whole thing. And I'm going to read it. And I want to see what you guys think on this. You ready? By the way, hey, Gary in chat and Jay Grove and T-Bone and Dorothy and Nathan and all that. And by the way, big shout out to Nathan over at the Quantum Show for talking about our show and our experience on his show last night. So thank you for that, Nathan. Here's what Lou Elizondo's statement is. I think this is the get out of jail free statement. Here we go. I want to tell the American people what I know, but I can't because the vast majority of it remains highly classified. I feel tremendous pressure to share what I can because I know there will be a time where we all wish we had done things differently. That moment is imminent. That's the name of his book, by the way. Imminent. Which is halfway decent. But again, nothing new. And when that moment comes, and I know people will say, I wish somebody would have told me sooner. What in the world? Exactly. Even the cat's like going, what is going on here?
Ash is putting in his 2
Yeah.
cents.
I feel tremendous pressure to share what I can because I know there will be a time where we all wish we had done things differently. I think he's talking about people in the government. That moment is imminent. And when that moment comes, I know people will say, I wish somebody would have told me sooner. So why does this matter? Because it's in the extremely emotionally powerful, right? It's that appeal to emotion. It talks about an urgency. There's that fear of regret. And then there's this moral pressure. But it's imminent, right? There's no timeline, no verifiable trigger as to what is going to happen. And then there's no falsifiable claim. You have to have a falsifiable claim. If that's your hypothesis, what is the falsifiable, right? So all of this, I'm going to say, it is very well done. There's a lot of powerful rhetoric, a lot, but that does not equal actionable disclosure at all. There's nothing there. It's an interesting timeline, and it really makes you scratch your head considering why are all these high level people, well, they're retired, most of them now, Clapper, Brennan, these senators, well, Marco Rubio, now Secretary of State, why are all these people answering Dan Farah's knock on their door to be in a documentary? They're probably just wondering where the money's coming from for these programs. And I think these programs are real, but I don't think they're close to getting it.
Well, I think at one point they showed what was it? A clip of Trump signing during COVID times.
Yeah, the COVID bill. Yeah.
You know, leading to that there was money in that bill that went towards all of this.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was the inference that was made.
Yep. All right. So, in closing,
let's talk film.
Yeah. So, here's what bothers me a lot about this, guys. And this is going to be one of those hot take things. Okay. Because I have a personal experience with both Lou Elizondo and Dan Farah. And you're getting this from me first. And I try to give this information. I'm going to be 100% upfront and transparent with you guys. I try to give this information to Richie over at Goof On because he's my favorite skeptic out there. And it just never happened. I wanted to tell him personally.
Never hooked up a phone call.
Right. Voice to voice on the phone. He never called. So that's on Richie. So I'm breaking it here. Okay. Breaking, quote unquote. Okay. I'm going to share something with you guys. And I know you guys have seen it. This movie, probably a movie, I'm assuming. Okay. This billboard was in Times Square and all around New York. It's what looks like a white cardinal with some kind of halo around it. And within that cardinal is an eyeball. And if you flip the image upside down, you can see it's a child's face. And my guess is that it's a hybrid child. Why? It says, all will be disclosed. Spielberg, June 12th, 2026. Okay. All will be disclosed. That's all it says. And then Spielberg, June 12th, 2026. So there's something coming out. And if you guys don't remember, Spielberg was our boy that came out with what Brian Bowden over there at Third Eye Live says was real disclosure, was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And granted, Close Encounters of the Third Kind had an actor portraying Jacques Vallée, and Jacques Vallée was an advisor on that film. And in real time, as a real person in that film of the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Alan Hynek was in that movie. He was in the movie at the end. He was one of the scientists. All right. So, and there was also talk that when they did a private screening of E.T., the extraterrestrial movie, with
another Spielberg film.
They did this movie, a screening in the White House with Reagan. After they watched it, Reagan supposedly stood up and without cracking a smile or anything, looked at Spielberg and said something to the lines of, yeah, you pretty much got them right. That's what they look like. And
or how did you know what they look like?
Right.
Or something to that degree.
To those effect, right? Yeah. And he turned around and he walked away while everybody was laughing, and he never laughed. He never cracked a smile and walked out of the room. So all will be disclosed. Now, here comes the weird connections. Okay. I know. Here we go. Cuckoo conspiracy theories. I don't think it's that crazy. Spielberg has ties to Dan Farah. You guys know this. By the way, thank you, Diane, for becoming a member. For 27 months, you are the longest running member of our channel. She says, you are both awesome. You both are awesome. Thank you very much, Diana. Diane, we appreciate it. All right. If you didn't know, Dan Farah and Steven Spielberg worked together. Farah was the producer on Ready Player One. Spielberg directed that. All right. So he had his Hollywood credibility, he had access, and he had the industry trust by working with Spielberg. And now he's doing the Age of Disclosure, which makes you really scratch your head. So there's this billboard, right? The all will be disclosed. Is the Age of Disclosure a setup for Spielberg's film coming up in June of 2026? It uses the identical disclosure language. It's released amid real world disclosure debates. Now, I am not claiming Spielberg is tied to the Age of Disclosure. No. Okay. But what I'm trying to point out is narrative convergence. This is that control of the narrative. Okay. Now, here's where things get really weird in my personal experience with Farah and Elizondo. Okay, here we go. You ready? back in 2021, and I do have the receipts for this. I have emails that I could remove email addresses and stuff to protect contact. On Facebook in 2021, I contacted Lou Elizondo to get him to come on the show. He said he would consider it. Go to my IMDb page, which I had to become a pro member of IMDb, right, to see the contact information. And he said, contact my agent. Here's where you need to go. So, okay, I joined IMDb Pro, went on there, I found his agent, and I called his agent with the number that was given. He answered the phone. He said, hi, this is Dan Farah. I didn't know who the hell he was. And I said, yes, I was calling to see about getting Lou Elizondo to make an appearance on our podcast. We're out of Michigan and we're UFO experiencers and we would like him to come on. Send me an email with all the information. Thanks. And he hangs up. So I wrote him an email. He sent me his email, or he told me his email on the phone. So I have his email address directly. Lou Elizondo's agent / handler is Dan Farah. Now, what would you guys make of this? Are they all in the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance? Dorothy asks. And I think that's the project done by Bassett. I don't know.
They're a part of their own little legacy team.
I just wonder if they're trying to build the narrative or to give them some, credibility. Is this what it would exactly look like if you were an insider trying to break out information and you're trying to get all the people in the right places to, give disclosure and say this stuff? It's possible. I just find it extremely, extremely bizarre that all three of them have this weird connection together. And now we have the age of disclosure, and this year, or this new year coming up in June, halfway in the middle of the year, almost literally June 12th, 2026, right in the middle of 2026, all will be disclosed. Spielberg. Something isn't right. It's got the feel of massive propaganda, mind control, MK Ultra stuff. And thanks to Obama and his signing of a certain document, the CIA can operate against the American people with propaganda and video and news and all that stuff. They do it. It's no big secret. All you got to do is look up the bill or whatever it was that he signed and removed something that made it illegal. All right. So anyways, here's what I'm going to say. This is my final word on it. Michelle, jump in and we're going to call it a night because we've been on an hour and 11 minutes. And I know Alien Girl's premiering some video and people are going to go over there. Here's what I'm going to say. What troubles me isn't that people are talking about disclosure. That is awesome. We need to be talking about disclosure, and we need people like Stephen Bassett being an advocate and pushing around those politicians, maybe just keeping them busy while the rest of us do the real work, right? It's that we're being emotionally primed with urgency, authority, and fear of regret, and just straight out fear, without being shown the underlying evidence. Claim evidence reasoning. I have to scream this to my kids constantly in school. This is not transparency. That's persuasion. And that's where I have the issues. Michelle, what do you think?
I was just going to say, I'm like, they've got the claim. They claim that they have all of this, but it's the reasoning as far as why they don't open up more.
That's right.
But we've said it all along. The disclosure and the opening up is more from the common folk, the people who actually experience all of this. Because if you truly interviewed every single one of the politicians that they had on that documentary and any documentary, I would say 95% of them don't have a story to tell.
Yeah.
They just they're just a mouthpiece for what they've been told.
It was all about military.
Yep.
No civilians. And the only reason they brought in Terry Lovelace was because he was the ambassador to Samoa for the United States. But he was a military guy. And when he was abducted with his friend Toby down in Devil's Den, Arkansas.
That's why I left 5% open, and it's because they had Terry on there.
That's right. That's right. When he got kidnapped and abducted. Yeah. I got to see. I want to show you guys something. I don't know if I can find it. Dang it. I thought our cat is just losing his mind. I don't get this dude. Anyways, I want you guys to go download that image. This one here. Go download it. Here, take a screenshot of it. All right. Take a screenshot of that. And then I want you to rotate it and look at it. It's pretty damn creepy. And I think it has to do with hybrids. All right. So, all right, Michelle, what do we want everybody to do?
Okay, is make sure if you have a story to tell, we might even create our own documentary. So if you have a story to tell, or if you would like to contact us, please do so by emailing us at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com.
That's right. And like I said earlier, if you want to support the podcast, PayPal, Super Chats, buy us a coffee. Yeah, buy us a coffee and whatever. But just check out our merch store. You can join our Patreon, which is still going on. All those links can be found below.
We always appreciate support for
and
the
becoming
show.
a YouTube member is fine. I mean, you guys are helping us out. We had a good turnout tonight. Very happy with that. Remember, you got to click that like button when you get in here so it will send out more notifications to that sliver of subscribers and then to the people that are just interested in UFOs.
And when those little videos come through, don't forget to smash that like button.
That's right. And share us out. You got to do that. And then remember, we do an audio show. You can find us everywhere, man. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And it usually takes about a day for us to get the audio all downloaded and cleaned up a little bit and put out there for you. But Amazon Music, iHeart, and all those good places will have our audio podcast. And then don't forget, we do have a new website. It's alive and active. I haven't messed with it much at all. But you can also, watch the videos and live streams right there on our website. You can find that link below.
And thank you to everyone in chat tonight.
Yes.
Thank you to all of our friends who donated to the show tonight.
Absolutely. So once again, we have Dorothy donating for us for the holidays. We had Brian Bowden 1, 2, 3 times. Brian Bowden 3 times donating to the show. Thank you very much.
We got our friend T-Bone, Diane.
Yep. And last but not least, our favorite Michigan dude saying great show. That was Gary. So Gary T, good to see you, man. And it's been a great show tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is our fair, criticism, the best that we could do and what we think. And
as we
sat through this
for the week before holiday break.
This is going to be a crazy
Please pray
week.
for us.
Yes, pray for us as we go into
5 days with feral children.
Yes, before Christmas break. So, all right, as always, a huge thank you once again to everybody in the live chat, members, super chatters, PayPal donors, and everyone who donates to make this show possible. You're the heart of this show. I can't say it enough. Through all this negativity, though, the stigma and the blind faith that can sometimes surround UFOs, UAPs, and the paranormal, We try to stay grounded, questioning what we're told while remaining open to what we don't yet understand. Okay, these guys could be all legit. That's all I'm saying. I hate being in that. I have to be in that, like, on the fence with everything. So we believe curiosity should always be paired with critical thinking, though. Okay. So you got to start showing us the evidence, guys. And
That's the missing link.
just so everybody is aware, don't go anywhere yet.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I put it away. I was going to pull out our UFO medal. We have evidence.
Well, and they did talk about that on the documentary,
Yes,
too,
they
about
did.
how they would give gifts. And the first thing that we thought about was Benny.
Yes. Yeah. They believe that the UFOs are giving gifts. That's what these medals and stuff are. And that's what Benny told us when he was on our show, and we met with him and his family in their house. So, go figure, man. Anyways, keep that critical thinking alive. Let's keep pushing them for evidence, real evidence. Let's keep doing it. And as always, keep your eyes to that. What?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Oh, the sky.
The sky. Oh my God. You are so clever and fun. Oh my God. Now I just got to figure out where to push this new outro.